when we plan on starting today. So I'm live on YouTube again for those who saw that first day and think this is where this is happening. If you want an option to get into the prizes and the gifts and all of that stuff, welcome, 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 Facebook. If you want that, then you want to register for Art of Gracious Diva. And there's some gifts, there's some bonuses if you decide to join us for the Vocal Creatrix Live cohort. So I highly recommend it. Plus, we're having fun in the group. We're like chit-chatting a little bit, getting to know each other, which is always fun, right? So let's see, it's asking me for a new password, but I think we're okay there. How's everybody doing today? Welcome, welcome, welcome to day 3 of the Gracious Diva, right? We're here about learning the art of being a gracious diva. And this is one of my favorite events of the year. And today we're going to dive deep on what it takes to show up for your business and vision. So we're talking about how we're going to start showing up for our business and vision. So guess what we're going to work on today? Guess. Okay. It's procrastination, right? We're working on what gets in the way of us getting started, because really, those action bunnies, all our Aries are saying, well, you just do it. They're throwing out Nike phrases like it's a real thing. And, and what a lot of my clients, myself, people that need my work, who know that this is part of their path to do voice work. They know that voice has been a thing for them for most of their lives, showing up fully themselves, showing up in their full self-expression, not letting other people's ideas of what that means get in the way of who they really are. That's the work usually they're doing over the course of their lives. So that's where we get together. We're like, you know what? I am all for you being in full self-expression. And I hope that when people are coming in, they're noticing why it's different, right? I'm not saying just to like, this is your task list, go do it, right? No, I'm saying, let's get the energy together. Let's get our feelings together. Let's be clear on who we are so that when we are doing a thing, that we don't feel like we're running a treadmill, that we have to do the same thing over and over, that we're not getting any results, or the results that we're getting aren't bringing the outcomes or the feelings that we desire at the end of the day, right? Because you can actually, by the eyes of the world, succeed at your goals and still not feel like satisfied, still not feel like you deserve recognition or that you've been seen clearly. And that's usually when we start changing things again. The business changes, the identity changes, all the things on the external change, when it's really the problem started when we didn't start with the energy we wanted to end with. And in order to even be able to do that, we have to be in touch and in tune and aware of our own intuition, right? And we don't have to be, but we can start to be clear by using the tools that we have in front of us, like we're going to be using today, a lot of human design, by using those tools to start making some headway in some places. Like, you're not having to be perfect before things happen, means just having more awareness when we're entering into these situations through recognition, being able to recognize the energy by looking at it, seeing it, hearing the words that are used when that energy is showing up, but also in our bodies, being clear in our intuition, not just warning bells, but warning bells for a reason. I feel this way because, right? That's what we want to know, so that we can know what action to take or not take because of it. And this is including like what we were talking about yesterday, like knowing what courses to buy, knowing what mentors to choose. Because sometimes we need a loving hand, and maybe we need a little bit of both. I mean, maybe we're ready for both. But often one is a little bit better than the other, and we can prioritize one over the other if this is a question of like, how much money can I spend? If I had my druthers, I'd have a coach that pushed me and made sure that, I was meeting my word and holding to my integrity. And I'd have a coach that was like, have you taken care of yourself today? What have you done? And what are your practices? And have we checked off all our practices? Why didn't you feel there was enough time? We're going to talk a little bit about that today too. But you feel there was enough time to get what you needed done today. right? And so that's what we're doing is we're kind of learning that vibe a little bit. And today we're going to learn that vibe of what are those trigger signs that are telling us to stop completely, that we can probably just blow past. We don't really even we don't necessarily have to do that deep shadow work when we're just being instinctively triggered. Why? Why would I say that? That's crazy, lady. Who would say that? For somebody who wants to heal everybody in the world, who would say that? Why do I say that? Because those are instinctive triggers for our survival. And they're just embedded in our DNA from when we were running from bears and tigers in the fields. And if you're not immediately in danger and these flags are going up, then they're really just, they're not relevant, right? Now, that doesn't mean you don't have to do anything about that. If you're following our podcast, Verb and Vision, I have to clear my throat a little bit. So if you're following our podcast, we did a podcast on the book, which one was it? On burnout. And it was phenomenal because what we're learning there is that there's two different kinds of things that happen when that fear cycle hits. There's the intellectual mindset. What am I going to do next? What is my next action? Taking care of it. And that logical kind of makes sense in your brain. And then there's the body, and the body likes to move. The body needs some kind of result, like some kind of burning it off so that it knows that it's safe at that, like it's done something to be safe. So we need actually two impetuses for that. That doesn't mean that you can't do the thing you're afraid of. It just means that, you know, that you're just getting a fear trigger, which which is totally natural. We don't have to fault ourselves for that, but we want to know when it's something we should just be like, okay, yeah, I'm okay. There are no tigers today. Now let me just get into the energy that I want to feel when I'm doing the work that I want to do in the world, right? That's really kind of what you work to come back to when I'm not feeling like doing stuff, when I'm in my procrastination mode. First of all, I don't shame and blame it. I don't say like, you need to do something, because I don't, right? I'm already serving the world by being who I am. It took me a long time to truly feel that way. But with the work, it was something that I could find in my body before my brain believed it, right? And so that's what I love about this work. When I say the work, I mean my work, Oman's method and vocal resonance work. Okay. And so, yeah, so that's what I love about sharing it, because at any level, if we're in awareness, if we're in connection with our body, if we're conscious of what's going on in our energy, then anything happening, we can learn from. We can do better the next time. We can feel better the next time because we have more awareness around the situation, even if we mess up, even if we fail, even if it goes wrong. And if it's going to go wrong and we're going to feel bad about it not going right in the first place, shouldn't we at least get a lesson out of it? That's how I speak to my voice clients. So they are working primarily on songs and singing, because the reality is, it's like, it doesn't matter if it's perfect if you can't feel confident that you can do it again. This is where we're trying to get to as singers. We want to be confident that we can do that cool thing we did the one time again. We want to be confident that if we decide to really go for it, that we can have the result that we desire. And in order to do that, we have to have enough consciousness to know when it's going right, how does that happen? So the first step to like high speed learning, effectual learning is being there and getting being there in consciousness, not just showing up. Showing up is the first step probably for the action, but the being there in our presence, in our energy, and being clear enough to be in recognition of what's happening in real time. Okay. I always have this inner fight game in my head with myself, because there's the audience that already is living a lot of unity consciousness and getting things done in that way, and really just kind of magnetizing their energy, clearing anything that's opposed to it, getting rid of dissonance in that way. So they're not really having necessarily to deal with real life until real life starts happening, which is usually when other people are involved, which again, a lot of my people have chosen not to deal with other people, not necessarily because they're introverts, but because it's less painful, because they don't have that sense of failure when they're not dealing with other people. right? And so if that's the case, what we want to do again is deal with the fear that we're having around being around other people, recognizing that when pain is a mindset, when you're just perceiving that somebody's just kind of dealing with us in that way, and when we are essentially just we again we're just kind of making things up based on the past of what we've experienced. And so what does that look like? How do we know what to be like, okay, maybe I can do some shadow work on that later so I can entrain myself not to be there. But honestly, the highest entrainment is to your own energy. I prefer that work to happen in our signature vibrational work, which happens in some of the deeper work for the Omans method. So I'm more interested in you knowing yourself and your energy better. I think astrology is a grand way to find that out. Even if you don't believe the direct dictates they're giving to you, ask the questions that come from those descriptions or descriptors of the chart and say, like, how is that true for me? How is that not true? Right? Instead of just being like, that's not me, that's not me, that, in what way is it not you? And when we are clear on those things, then we can be clear about who we are and what we know about ourselves and why we're making the choices we're making. And that to me will cover all of the subjects, right? Interperson, relationships, and going for a career, building the life and this like I think about safety when I think of home. When I think of where you're living, I think about it safety. So building the safety of your home or building the environment you want to live in and just, what do you call it? Soak in, right? That soak. You want to be in an environment you want to soak in. I know Pat was answered a post before and I wasn't able to get to it before I started, but I love that Pat is so at home in her garden, right? I feel like she's built something or she's created and co-created with her garden something that makes her feel at home. It's an environment that she loves and welcomes and thrives and grows in, right? And so I feel like all of our spaces can be that. I do love a little bit of feng shui. I'm a nerd, so I can't stop learning these things. And so I'm implementing little pieces of feng shui here and there, because I do think it's important. I want to feel good in my home the same way I want to feel good when I'm doing the work I'm here to do in the world. I want to feel good when I'm sharing knowledge and information that can improve people's lives. I want to feel good. I shouldn't feel bad, right? When I'm doing the thing I want to do. Anyways, I'm getting into that because sometimes we think, if I've been working so long on these things, I've been working on myself, I've been learning so much, I should know these things by now. But remember what we said the first day. Remember what we said the first day. If you've been in any of my courses, you've heard this already, but essentially that remembrance piece, right? Whatever we're learning is a remembrance, even if we've never heard it in this lifetime before. If you think of unity consciousness or God within, as another way to think of that. And when we think of that, is we have a direct connection to the source of all things, right? There's a part of us, if we really believe God's within us, if we really believe that we are one, there's a part of us that already knows. You already know what I know. So I'm just here to remind you, right? I'm just here to remind you. And so even if you've heard it before already, these are things that we need to remind ourselves of so that we can, that it can't fool us when the pattern gets set up in our world, right? So we were, wait, oh, you think you saw something that you should be afraid of. And they're like, wait a minute, is it a tiger? That's kind of my first question. Will I die right now? No, that usually takes me down a notch, right? And then it's like, okay, how, because a lot of times they feel so immediate because it's triggering that fear response of survival. So like, if I'm going to die right now, then that, yeah, is a major problem. And now I can't think past like, what can I do? But if it's not true. I'm not going to die now. I have, 30 days before I die. I have 60 days, or for that bad thing that I think is inevitably going to happen, that's what I'm acting out of fear of. And it's like, well, no, if it's going to be 60 days, I might as well be happy for 60 days before I die, right? Like, I know that's so more, That is so morbid. Isn't it morbid? Oh my gosh. But it's true for me. That's what I know. It is true for me. Right. So what I want you to be able to know is that I am there with you. I am understanding when it's showing up in that way where it literally feels like you cannot, like you will die if you do this thing. I am too scared to let any of that happen. I get it. I've been there. And if you heard my story from yesterday, I've been there recently. Right? So I promise that I understand. And yeah, let's start clearing these things out so they don't stop us, so that when it happens, it's not like I can't, there's never, I could never do the thing that I'm actually desiring to do because I feel like my body is saying, run the other direction, right? First, we have to be able to calm the body, and the Almonds method is an immediate way to do that. Like I said, this is not going to be directly about that. There's videos on YouTube if you can't join us in the course. But the course is when we get the deep dive and start applying it to the different sections of how we are living in our personality so that we can live in the personality of a diva, of a vocal creatrix, somebody who knows they can create what they want when they open their mouths, right? That's the desire of those people that are going in the course. And again, like those links are in the group, and yeah, so if you want to join us, it's $197 to join the live cohort. It is a 6-week course. Normally we start at the end of July, but we'll probably start either at the end of June this time, or maybe I'm going to talk to the people that have joined so far, and then we'll figure out what's the best timing. But I also like to check charts on that too. So we'll usually find something that'll be the best time and day for the majority of the people. And then I slot it into a little cycle of time, right? If you want to join the upgrade version of that, that is the Cosmic Prosperity upgrade for, and then that would give you the recordings from the past years. It gives you the course, the Vocal Creatrix Live Cohort course. And then it also gives you 4 personal sessions, where normally our astrology sessions are $250 each. It's giving you 4 that covers your cosmic prosperity cycle for only $797. So that is, it's a big discount, y'all. I didn't do the calculations. I just kind of just fell into it. I was like, that feels good. And then so I put the price up, and then I checked it against my like standard numbers. And I was like, whoa, that's a 40% discount. That's like, oh my gosh, that's a big discount. But that's why I like to give discounts. I feel like it opens the door for more people, and I like that it gives kind of priority to the people that are tuned in, that are paying attention. Because if you have tuned into my energy, I know that you're a special someone. Not everybody does, and I don't always give people enough time. That's something I'm working on. I don't always give people time to notice that I'm going to show up, right? And so I get that about like kind of what I do and what I'm doing, right? And I'm okay with it because I love my students. I love my studio. It's actually perfect. And I want to grow because my life is asking for more. But this is pretty much what I start out desiring. So it's really pushing me to expect more out of life even, right? Anyways, I get into all that just to say that I'm glad to be able to offer this amazing discount to you. And I hope that a few of you step forward so we can do this cool work together, because I really enjoy it. And I know that you'll get a lot out of it too. I had this one amazing lady get her information, and she started crying, right? Like it was like about an hour in when we had done the session, and she started crying because she was like, it's just so amazing to have this all in front of me. Like I get it that I'm not crazy, that I do things for a reason. We're going to talk about that today too. I do things for a reason. And that's something I want you to remember. Even you can know that now. You don't need an astrology chart to tell you that. But it takes a belief in yourself. And that's why I love the confirmations of these tools, because lets you ask enough questions to be like, yeah, actually, it is true for me. When this happened, it showed up. When this happened, it showed up. That is true. I do have this ability. I do have this superpower, and start owning it, owning that it's true, even when we can't always see it in ourselves, when we don't feel great about ourselves, right? So any case, let me bring up our I'm going to use slides because I did this up. I made a whole slide presentation for this a one time. So we're going to use those slides today. So you'll have a little visual representation of the information today. All right, let's talk about, well, let's see here. Let's try here. We're going to start here. All right. So here we go. If you share, looking for the share. Sometimes you just feel like you're hiding things. All right. Okay, so you should see it now. Procrastination is, I agree. Who wrote this? This lady is brilliant. It's sneaky. It's sneaky. We were just talking about that, right? It's not even real. You're not dying right now. There are no tigers. Sneaky, right? Sorry for the misspelling. Embedded. It's in the stories that we've told about the truth about being human, so to speak, right? It's in our stories, so we believe it because it's part of our lineage of storytelling. There are stories that your culture has told for generations that they believed was true because it happened one time. But as you know, as people who are explorers learning this beautiful information, the past does not dictate the future. It's a lying to you. It's sneaky. Okay. It ties to anxiety and overwhelm. It's a package deal. So what I find also is that there's a pattern of procrastination that dries up our anxiety and overwhelm. And then we're so anxious and overwhelmed that we can't get anything done. We can't get a clear thought to come together so we can get things done. Right. So it is like a real thing. It's not, I mean, it's in our heads, but it's real to us because it's in our head, right? So it's the same thing that would happen if you had, like, if it's enough in your head, then you'll have an actual physical response where you can't do a thing. If you have it in your head, you might have an actual physical response, like not having enough energy for the day, right? You might have a physical response like hyperventilating, right? These are real physical responses. Nobody questions that, but they question that a mindset can keep you from moving forward. That should not be a real thing for a coach, right? Like, anyways, but that's neither here nor there, right? What we're going to do is have the tools to be able to recognize it and move forward. And that's the goal here. All right. So procrastination disguises. So a lot of times we think we're not procrastinating because we're doing things. I was like, well, I did lots of stuff today. Yeah, I did lots of stuff. So why do we still feel bad? Why do we still feel like we're procrastinating? Because we're not doing the things that are closest to our hearts, that are deepest, that would bring us closer to experiencing our deepest desires, right? That's when it doesn't feel good. Like, you might have done plenty of things, but if it's not moving you towards something that you truly desire, then it's not going to feel like you did anything today. So one of the questions I asked to kind of break myself out of a procrastination pattern is, what would I need to accomplish today to feel good about my day? Right? And I maybe not need, maybe I can ask that a better question. What would be, what would feel like I had a productive day if I finished ... right? Something like that. Like, what would make me feel like I had a productive day? And then that thing will pop up, and that now becomes my priority. And then I notice if little things are trying to get in the way, because my brain is sneaky. My brain is sneaky. If I keep finding a reason why I can't do that thing yet, I'll recognize, number one, what usually I'm starting to develop an organizational process for creative brains, because I'm with you if you have that problem. If you have any kind of attention problem, I'm with you on that. And so if there's things and they're coming up and I notice a pattern, if those things are coming up because they're actually things I needed to do in order to get the one thing done, then I just let the process play out and just keep reminding myself of that priority so I don't get too far away from that center, right? Um, and then if it's something where I just forgot, so that happened. I don't know if that happens to you guys. I literally will forget that I was trying to do something. Like, does not make me proud at all, but it is the truth. I will just be like, la, da, 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 da. What was I saying? Or in action. Like I'm in the middle of something, like, why was I doing this again? Like, why did I think this was relevant today? And to me, um, I used to again criticize myself for that. We're going to talk a little bit about that today. I used to criticize myself for that. For now, I'm like, well, that's the honest question. Like, what made you think this is a priority? Is it still a priority? Because if I finish this thing today and it's not the true priority, then maybe my brain is just trying to stop me from wasting my day. Right. So like, don't always think that your brain or your body or your life is working against you, right? It could be working for you. More we recognize that is when we actually get to experience that as feedback and wisdom and what is the best next right action, right? So perfectionism is a disguise. It's disguising essentially procrastination a lot of times, because if we think if it's perfect enough, then I won't be scared anymore. But that's probably not true, right? Probably isn't. Like if it's not true for me, then I'm assuming it's not for true. Number one, it will never be perfect, because as soon as I perfect it, I'm going to want it to be better, and I'll find a way for it to be better. That's how my brain works. So I can ride that donkey all day. You know what I'm saying? Like that could be an all day problem. Idealism, because they're right next to each other. I have an ideal. I'm not going to reach my ideal today. That's something I've finally just come to peace with. Like, it is what it be. I will not be perfect today. The highest ideal that I can imagine is not going to be achieved right now, because as soon as I have experienced it, my brain goes to what's next. I think of it as an artistic mindset. We're always looking for the emanation of beauty, and that is like the riding the edge of possibility. It's that writing. That's where we get our innovative, awesome ideas and visions from. So I know that's the element of what may be happening for you as well, right? So my little quote here: I really just like things to be done correctly. I used to say this to myself mostly because I wasn't vocalizing a lot when I was doing a lot of this work, but I used to like put events together for singers in town. I made this group where we would do concerts together, and a couple times we got hired for some productions in town. And so, my artistic mind wanted things to be at a certain level. I wanted people to sound good. I wanted people to enjoy what we're doing, right? There's an artistic process there's a perfection that I feel within reach. And so when you're kind of hoping to direct people towards that, you might get a little bossy, a little diva-like, right? And so I'm just noticing when we come out of alignment by, like, if we're pushing too much, I will do my full moon Sagittarius thing. But when that idea of forcing is the shadow right now in the full moon, and that idea of forcing, we're pushing too much, people will run the other direction. Okay. So we don't want to be pushing, making things happen, because the energy feels the same way. You're driving the energy that's for you, that can support you, that is going to activate you out of the equation when you force things. Okay. That's why procrastination needs play. It needs to be playful. You want to be playful when these things are coming up. We're going to get to the actual keys. So this is a great time to pull out your charts. Pull out your charts. We're going to pull out the charts so we can see if you have this in your gene key chart, which is, if you have any of the keys that are coming up in your gene key chart, then you're going to be real familiar with these things, right? And or if you're not, you're going to just be able to notice when it's been evident in your environment, whether it's in your family or in people that you've worked with or gone to school with, because those things tend to play out the same way too. If we're running the same patterns that, well, that's kind of just true. Like it happens. It's just our perspective that changes, honestly. But in that perspective change, we transform our reality, which is why it looks different when we have done a lot of that work. Okay, the inner child. So the inner child is how we get all those cool, innovative ideas. So how do you think your inner child feels when you go adult time perfectionism on their play date? Do they start screaming and throwing a tantrum in the corner, maybe? Maybe. Do they say, I don't want to do this anymore? And they, right? And like your whole thought process, idea, the emanation, the seed of that idea came from your inner child, your innermost desires, that true core you is another way of thinking of that, right? And so, yeah, are you not recognizing when that child is like, yeah, I'm throwing a complete tantrum, which is what I see a lot of, because we've been doing things that needed to be done for so long that our inner child just starts throwing tantrums. They start taking your memories like they're toys. Like, you can't remember that. I can't play, you can't remember that. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. That's what happens to me. So I figured I'm not the only one, because we're all human. It happens at some level, right? For all of humanity. Probably maybe me more than most, maybe. But that's why I've had to develop a system around it to be able to focus and tap into my power, my ability to make my desires happen. Right? That's why I've had to work so hard at this. So this is another reason, like even the things that you wish may be a little bit different about your personality can work for you if we are believing they are for us. But when you make them all wrong, then how do we even know how to use them as a tool? We're always trying to get rid of it. Right? I say the same thing for singing. Like, we're always trying to get rid of the ugly sounds. I'm like, what if there's something you needed in there? Like, you need to know something about that sound. You may need it one day, right? If we get rid of all our anger, then when we're trying to defend somebody we love, how do we get that out if we've silenced our anger, right? Like, we have to just know that there's nothing wrong. It's just, is it the way we intend? Is it going to allow us to experience the outcome, the feelings that we desire, right? A lot of times when we're not aligned with that, that's when we feel bad. We feel bad when we yell at people that wasn't our intention. We wanted them to know how we felt, but we didn't want them to feel bad, right? Well, if you feel like they're gonna feel bad, then we have to say it in a way that honors our emotions and theirs. Say it at a good time when they have time to process their feelings, so they don't have to stay in a sad state because, oh, I hurt you, or like however you're trying to tell them what you need to tell them. Okay, work and play. So I want you to play with those two words. Can you be playful about work? Can you be serious about your play? Like, I'm gonna take this play seriously. I'm going to the beach and it's gonna be the best beach day ever. Beverages, snacks, water for days, right? An umbrella, anything you can, like, what exact perfect way of having a fun day, right? So that's the thing. What sparks my creativity and imagination? It's hard to find that when we're constantly silencing that inner child. The inner child can tell you how it can be fun. Some of the most boring stuff in the business, right? Like business world, entrepreneurship, however you think of that, it can be transformed through play. Okay. So never play, and I say play in close relationship to creativity. Why? Because artistry, creativity is a form of play, but so is work. A lot of people found their favorite work to do because they enjoyed the process of that work. And then they decided, well, if I enjoy the process, I might as well make it something that will bring me what I need financially, right? That's the best way to develop a business. What do you enjoy doing? How do you enjoy being with people? When are people most ecstatic about being with you, right? What have you transferred to them during that time that you can sell people, tell people, I said sell, is that like a Freudian slip? Tell people that you are good at and that people have enjoyed before. And it's just true. It's not bragging, it's just true, right? Anyways, that's your business, like, right? I'm not too far offline. If you're talking about a business legacy, then you have to know the things that you can make fun, right? Teaching for me is fun. It's not hard to make teaching fun for me. Like, I'm literally, as soon as I start teaching, I'm in my bliss place, right? My favorite teaching is actually one-on-one in small groups, which is why I like to keep my groups a little small, but I'm trying to move past that. We're expanding, we're expanding, we're expanding. I gotta keep reminding myself of that. I like them to be a little small again, like, but still, like, when I say expanding, I mean, like, our largest group is 20, like, maybe, I think at that time, a lot of them were doing private sessions. So they didn't feel a need to come to classes. So classes were still pretty small. I think the max we ever had was about 10 in the class. So it's still pretty small. So usually, like, if I could do 25 people in the class, I don't expect everybody to show up every day because my people are busy. They got stuff to do, like work and stuff, I get it, right? And so we usually try to do the most cohesive day in class anyways. But the point of that being that you can make it fun for you. If you think that in order for your business to be successful, it has to have, 200 people in the business processing. Nope, that's not necessary. I mean, I'd have to round up because the numbers, depending on how many people, like how well you're telling people what you do. In other words, are you trying to talk to everybody? And so you're bringing in massive amounts of people, but only 1% are really interested in the work, right? And you might need 200 people in the process of learning about your work in order for you to have enough people in your studio. But if you are very clear about what's going to happen and what's not going to happen, there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be like, that's not for me. I'm looking for somebody shinier. I'm looking for somebody who's, worked in, I don't know, master Hollywood films. I don't know, right? I'm looking for whatever. They want something other than me so they can find it, right? And what happens is that you find the people that are ready for your work without question. They're not going to question you, right? Because you are exactly what you say you are. And your services will reflect that. Oh, I think I forgot to, did I forget to change the thing? No, it's just misspelled. Okay, we're good. Or everybody's, we're good. Everybody just calm down. Okay, so we're going through our fears, procrastination and fear. So these are instinctive fears. If you know human design, this is our splenic center. And it's the gates around the splenic center. So if you've learned a bit about this, then you'll know where I'm getting this from directly. If you don't know and you're more Gene Keys gal or guy or non-gendered, then you know that this is really, I'm sorry, what you would know is that there's a shadow, gift, and city of those things. We're not going to get into that right now. But it's just when you know that shadow, gift, and city, if you've done a little bit of work, you can look up these keys on YouTube. I'm sure 1,000 people have their versions of that, what that is. Maybe not in Gene Keys. Maybe there's 20 people in Gene Keys that have our versions of what this is, but you'll find it, I promise. Okay, so just look up the number that's at the beginning of each of these little sections. Okay, and then you can do the deep dive so that you can see how they're coming up for you, and then how you can find the gift or the superpower, the genius in that energy. Okay, so first one is gate 48. We're talking about human design. So again, if you have 48 in your gene key chart, then it's reflecting as something that may be showing up as a fear cycle for you. That's like triggering the overwhelm and anxiety, that's putting you in that scary state. And if you this, I'm sorry, I'm gonna move this for a second just so I can see if anybody is chatting at me. Let me know if you have any questions. Remember, each comment is a point in the whole roll. So Pat says, interesting. So you are saying listening to our bodies. So I wish I was paying attention to when you said that. So listening to the bodies, that is true. I think you should listen to your body because, and this is so interesting because people have different ways of reflecting this in their awareness as they ascend, as they're growing in their spiritual awareness. Yay, we've got the ice cream truck again today. So Daryl would say, actually, it's my body that I have to train, right? That I'm training in a higher awareness. And how I see it is that the body is already aware of your awareness. It's you that's not listening, right? Like the body's responding to that awareness. It's responding to the energy in the environment. It's responding to how much your actions and your feelings are moving you away from what you desire, which is why you feel bad. It's why you feel anxious and what do you call it? Overwhelmed, right? So that's my stance. And that's how I've experienced it when I'm working with bodies, when I'm working with people. It's not usually the body that's confused, it's usually the person that thinks they know better and that it can't possibly mean that I do less. Those are the kind of the two highest truths that keep showing up in my studio. It's like they think they know that if they just tried it this way or they made it do this one thing, if they can make it do the one thing, then they would be fine. And that's the push. That's that force we're talking about in this full moon energy. That's that, I have to make it happen. And in a lot of my people, what's happened is that in their youth, they were able to force things. But because the energy is changing, the environment is changing, the world is changing, it is changing. There's not enough force in the world to accomplish the things that we want to accomplish right now. We have to find an easier path so more things can get done without our physical involvement. If our energy is aligned, it's going to draw what we need and it's going to clear paths where we don't even know we're going yet. Like that's the beauty of being in co-relationship with God, with co-creation relationship with universe that you're co-creating. It's not all up to you. It's not. Right. And we want to start recognizing what's not up for us. Right. Let's focus on the stuff we have to do. We got plenty to do as it is. Right. So there's no need to go looking for more things to do. Unless, again, if it's part of that fear cycle, it's just out of that like avoidance, and we're just not recognizing we're in avoidance. So again, when these fears are coming up, we're in avoidance. Okay. So here, the 48 is the first gate, feeling like we're not enough. This is for my lifelong learners that feel like if they just need to learn 3 more jobs. Y'all know who I'm looking at myself, but I'm also looking at you guys. I'm looking at both of us. Okay. Like if you think you need like 3 more certifications and then you'll be ready, then that's probably not true. Maybe 1, like max 1. My people already know a ton of stuff that they can help people with now. They don't need another certification. They don't need another whatever. They just need to believe that they can help people and that people are willing or wanting help from them. Right? There's not enough preparation in the world that's going to help you do that. So trust the resources you already have, what you already know. You have what you need, right? So that's the first fear response. If you're feeling like you're just not good enough yet, okay, and you need to do something in order to be good enough. No, like you might need to learn something in order to make the next action, like learn how to put up a website. But even that, when we are aligned in action, we will find the fastest, best way for us at the time, instead of the, well, in order for perfection to happen, I want to be able to make it as beautiful as the day is long. And then I want to be able to make sure that they're properly taken care of. And there's going to be like 1,000 welcome emails with the most beautiful background, and then a video of me coming forward. Like, we have such great imaginations and artistry in our heads of an ideal. And it's just not time for that yet. Like, we're lucky. I mean, honestly, a lot of us in the beginning of our business, when we first put up a website, we're lucky if somebody's going there today or tomorrow or the next day. People have websites they paid hundreds and hundreds and thousands of dollars for that nobody visits. It is not about what's on the website. It's about what needs to be done. Why do you have a website? So people can contact you. People can contact you on Instagram. People can contact you on Facebook. People can contact you a lot of places. You don't need a website for that. So if that's the only reason you need a website, you don't need a website yet. I know that's weird, but for somebody who's into marketing, but it's true. You just need people to contact you. And that doesn't require a website. You can go find a person out on the street right now. Okay. I know that's weird, but it's true. So what is in the way of us talking to that person is what we need to be working on. What do we need to clear within ourselves? What fear is coming up so that we can discount it, right? That's not a fear that's really going wrong for me right now. All right, let's check our charts. Do we have 57? We have 57. Fear of what can go wrong. This is so me for days, y'all. I'll be scared. I'll be scared of what can go wrong. I would have doomsday scenarios. This hasn't happened in a while, but it used to happen all the time. Like, I'd be like, what is wrong with my brain? I'd have doomsday scenarios for other people, like somebody's gonna run into the side of the road or something like that, and just have flashes of it in my head. Like, well, it could happen. It could happen. Anything could happen. Like, freaking myself out for no reason. Right? Like, it's just like, yeah, if we're going to say what can go wrong, like literally anything, like anything in life is possible. That's the whole point of like kind of having this experience, right? We're here to see what's possible. So it's really that, we have to trust that if something goes wrong, that we will respond the way we need to respond. That's really the only way to deal with this fear. Some of this stuff, like, there's nothing really you can do about it. That's why you can ignore it and still keep doing what you're doing. Just get yourself into a higher vibration, focus on something that does make you feel good enough to move forward, because this stuff you can't, like, what are you going to say? Nothing will ever go wrong. Your adult mind knows better than that. Right? I refuse to let anything like this, some of these manifestation people who think they really are God and that kind of thing. Nothing will go wrong because I won't let it go wrong, right? Your mind does not believe you. It's seen too many shits go wrong. Okay? Like, it's had too many experiences that say the complete opposite of what you just said. So listen, instead of like lying to yourself, maybe just talk to yourself about, like, yeah, and when something went wrong that you couldn't even imagine would go wrong, did you deal with it? Did you handle it? Did you survive? You can do it again. You're still here. At minimum, no matter what went wrong, you're still here. So you didn't die. So that first main point, right, is, there's no tiger in the room. There's no tiger in the room. Just keep going. Okay. 44, trauma. So like, if we have a fear of the past happening again, so we talked about it before, past does not dictate the future, right? This is something that we can do some deep work on, because a lot of times we still have a trauma response. In other words, we don't just remember what happened. We feel like we're there and we are frozen, like it's still happening, right? And so what we have to do is forgive what our response was, that in some ways we feel like we're allowing trauma to happen to ourselves. But that's one of those life things where it looks like a lot of different things, but the reality is it's just a place where we can't see what's going to come out of it. And the people that I know who experienced a lot of deep body trauma, um, they become so internally powerful because they are still here. Like if it, and I know not everybody has that privilege either, not everybody survives, but these people did. And with that survival comes power, and the power to transform their lives and other people's lives. And so it's a hard path, but you can forgive the experience, you can forgive yourself, and you can choose people that remind you that your past experience isn't the bulk of who you are, right? That horrible thing happening is not what your life is made of. You are bigger than that, right? It's not your whole life. And so not allowing it to rule your whole life is maybe a process that you need to get help behind. Get some, professional help of, paratherapists, psychologists, find the right people that are resonant with who you are and where you're going in your life. But yes, find support, find partners that understand that, you might have some parameters, some boundaries that are in place until we've healed that completely. And so find the partners and teams that will work with you in that place where you're not having to have shame around setting those boundaries because it makes you different, right? Be different because you are different. And that's why you're going to do some great work. And let them understand that, that's part of the package. Your clients too. People think that you can leave your clients out of this understanding. No, your clients too. You got to tell them, listen, I don't answer my phone. I had to tell my clients that I don't answer it. I'm not looking at this thing all the time. I'm not looking at this feed all the time because you're posting, right? Like, I love you. And if I see it, I will like it. But that doesn't mean that I'm going to go looking for it. It's not my job, right? My job is not to be social media maven. My job is to be the person I am so I can provide the transformation I provide, right? And so I am this person, and part of that means social media boundaries. I can't be scrolling online all the time and with like just taking care of everybody else, right? Because it's too easy, right? That's another way to procrastinate, is to take care of other people. It's just the truth, right? All right, 32, fear of failure. Fear of failure. This is my purpose key. So this is in my gene key chart, y'all. This is what we're talking about. I think I was talking about this yesterday, right? Say hi to the ice cream truck. So yeah, point 32, fear of fear. What if they laugh at me? And it's usually, I always, especially when I was younger, that's exactly how I felt about it. Is that they're gonna laugh. They're gonna laugh at me. They're not gonna take me seriously. They're not gonna think I know what I'm talking about. That was my biggest fear, even in coming out in the work that I'm doing now. Like, they could, there's also a couple of others in here, but they could find me. They can just say, oh, that's the worst. Why does she think she can help people? Right? Yeah, even if it's sideways. Oh my gosh. So yeah, so that failure, what if they laugh? Like, yeah, it happens. People are going to laugh. I feel like that's what she's telling me. It must be sideways. That's why nobody watched the last one, I'm sure. So I'll move that back around. Thanks for telling me that. All right, so I don't know if she's still over there, but she gave me a little heads up. All right, so yeah, so that fear is to preserve, connect to your, what we want to do instead is to preserve your focus. Why do we want to preserve? What you're connected to in your purpose? Because this is really for me, because preservation is it's for everybody. Preservation is the gift of 32. Yeah, preservation, and then veneration is the city. So, so it is the antithesis or the gift that's lying in this energy, which is that you can preserve or connect to what is long standing, what is purposeful, why we're here, what we're fighting for, why we're showing up. If we're showing up for the business, if we're showing up for the vision, why is that important to you? Then that should be the anchor that we come back to, because it doesn't stop being important because somebody's going to laugh at you. Is it more important to the person that's laughing, or it's more important to the person that is available for the transformation that you can provide them? What's more important to you? And as soon as we refocus that energy, then we're ready to go. We're ready to go. So that's why I like to have that conversation with people of, do we even know what our purpose is? Or have you understood that it's valuable? A lot of times you think, well, it's valuable to me, but everybody I talk to, my family, my children, my sister, your sister doesn't believe in your purpose. I'm kidding. Some people have that privilege of somebody in their family that sees them and their potential like that, right? But not all of us do. Most of us that are held back by these things do not have that person. If we had that level of foundation, we wouldn't be where we are now. It's just the truth. I mean, it's just the truth of the matter. But we also, like, if you're in unity conscious, we also showed this. I mean, not showed, chose this. We also chose this. We chose to show up in this way. We chose, right, to be in a family that doesn't see our value. Why would we choose that? Why would we choose that? Because I get to verify myself. And once I verified myself, nobody can refute me. If I need my dad to tell me, right, that I'm doing the right thing, then when my dad disagrees, I no longer honor myself and my purpose. Is that what we're doing? Right? If when, that's what there's a reason, right? The higher self knows this. There's a reason why we choose some of the things we've chosen in our lives, right? And in the other perspective, it's just true that we have a purpose, and no matter who's laughing at it, that doesn't change what it means to us. So either we believe ourselves that is valuable to ourselves, and we decide that's what we're standing up for, or we let other people dictate how our lives are going to be. How can we be a vocal creatrix and we are letting other people dictate our lives? Like, not okay, right? The fear of authority is 18. 18, anybody? Does anybody have 18? You checking your charts out there? I think it's interesting to know, like, when these things are lining up in our charts. Thanks, Deb. Deb says my words are so poetic. Pastor, it's not the book of who you are. I can't see the whole thing right now, but I'm gonna look at it later. She has the best comments. So fear of authority. So this is the other thing I was thinking about when it comes up with fear of failure. For a long time, I would not put that I had my own technique in broad daylight. I would not put it on social media. I would not put it on memes. I would not put it on any of that stuff, because I come from a world. I come from a world where there's an authority on that. There's 1,000 books written on the pedagogy of voice, and I am not one of those people yet. I do not have a vocal pedagogy book of my own yet. It's coming, but I don't have it yet. Okay. And so when you are looking at the histories of authority that are there to tell you when you are on and or off track, when you are waiting for that authority, then it also going to turn into a shadow of, of course they're going to judge it. It's their job as an authority. That's how we've decided that job description looks, right? And then there's the habit of looking to the panel to tell you if you're right or not. That can be a long-standing habit. So that's something you need to check in on, because a lot of my professionals, something I talk about in my know your leadership voice, is a lot of my professionals are used to waiting on the teacher to tell them when they've done it right. And if you don't have that feedback, you will constantly question yourself. And that's the thing I had to do. I had to learn. No, like as long as I'm in my own integrity, as long as I like what I'm doing, as long as it's meeting my desires of how I want to feel about it, then I'm not worried about the other people. That's when I became a better artist, a better singer, is when I stopped worrying about what would be okay by the authorities, and what I wanted from the moment became the focus. So that's where we want to be. We want to be in that moment of like, I know what I desire in this moment, and I am presenting it in my action. And as long as you're doing that, if you've learned something new, you incorporate it. You can even, if you're big, if you become famous, which I think is another fear of success quotient that happens for a lot of people. If you become famous, then you just apologize. Say, guess what, guys? I just learned a new thing. I didn't know it before. Now that I know, I will do this. I'll go learn more about it. Now that I know, I'll apply it to my work in this way and make sure that it's taken care of. So this happened, if you noticed, around like COVID times, and people were like talking about how are we gonna do this, and they kept having to correct them what they thought they knew, and they kept having to make adjustments based on new information. But that didn't stop them from going out and trying to help people, right? Just because you don't know everything doesn't mean that you don't try to help people. You don't wait until you know everything. We cover that in 48, right? Don't wait until you know everything, because you're going to be learning for the rest of your life. So when you learn the new information, you incorporate it and trust yourself that you'll have the integrity to do that. Yeah. And notice if this is showing up in your actions by you telling other people or judging other people when they should do something differently. Right? So this is another problem, is that because we are running that storyline in our heads, if somebody goes online, they're like, oh, well, she should have done her nails first, or she should have, come with a better framework, or we don't even, not doing it on purpose. We're not trying to be catty, right? But it's just how we think. We are not everybody, but some of us have discernment levels of certain things, including, am I attracted to this? Am I attracted? And we're used to finding the why I'm not attracted to it. This, again, is kind of an artistic mindset, where it's like, well, this could have been done better. It'd have been a better chair. Have you heard of the ideal chair story? Like, everybody has their ideal chair as an artist. So it would be a matter of like the artist's perspective as to what that chair looks like. And this is that ideal chair. It's like, maybe that would be perfect to you, but maybe to that person, there's a reason why they're doing it the way they're doing it. And if it's not, then it's none of your business anyways. It's none of your business. If you don't like them, move on. Right? You don't have to like them. Okay. So there's that piece, right? And if you feel that way about people around you, like they have the right to judge you in that way, it's probably because we are in some way doing it with others. Well, they could have done that better. I would have done it this way. And why do people even like them? Because I could have done it better. If that's in your head, then that's a big piece of why we're not being visible. Right. So we just want to catch those thoughts. Oh, is that happening? Let me return to my integrity of like letting people be human and having their own experiences, and let them fail forward. And let us, like, one of my favorite mentors calls it being sexy, because she calls, like, if you make a mistake, that it's being sexy, because in order to learn, we have to make mistakes. It's a great teaching tool. Oh, I added that incorrectly. That's look at me being sexy, right? Because y'all think being a sexy is cool now, right? So 28, the fear. So again, like notice if these are in your chart, is 18 in your chart, that authority, that judgment. I believe it's I'd have to look it up, but I wouldn't say that the 18 and the gene keys is discernment. Or I think it's just oh, I just lost it. Maybe I don't need to say it. Because I turn it into discernment. That's how I think of it. But I'll double check that before we get out on that one, because I feel like a lot of my people are that one too, because they usually have had some kind of professional, either parents or they have gone to college and seen people become professionals. And there's kind of this, like, if I was an authority, then I would go ahead and try to help people be healthy. If I was an authority, then I'd have the right to say what I mean, right? Like that's essentially what we're saying. Like, no, you don't need authority to do that. You just have to trust that you're speaking in integrity with yourself, and that if you had better information, or you'll either go find it if you need it, or you'll if you run across new information, you'll apply it when you find out, right? And that's all anybody can. We're all human. That's all anybody can ask of us. Okay. 28, fear that everything is pointless. This is a big one, I think, for my people too. Why? Because they have so many people that come through that are line sixes. And I love y'all because I'm married to one, 4-6, for those who do human design. Married to ones, I get it. I get it. A little bit. I get it a little bit. And so it drives me crazy because it's my husband. What do you expect? He drives me crazy. That's what being married does to you. It drives you crazy. I'm joking. A little bit. But it becomes that. Like, it becomes like, yeah, like either taking all the risks or not taking any risks, because they want to be held responsible for something that if it's not even going to be worth it, it'll be pointless at the end. Right? This is one that actually was like a deep-seated fear in me for a while. It's one of the reasons why I was triggered when I would see it in my husband every now and again, right? We only are triggered by what's a part of us. I know that's a hard one, but it's true, right? So fear that everything is pointless is basically saying that it's not worth it. It's not worth it. It's not worth putting myself out there. It's not worth failing. It's not worth somebody judging me. It's not worth it. Like what? And how this becomes personalized to me is, well, I'm not going to help anybody anyways. Nobody's like, how big of a difference can I really make anyways? I can't make that big. I mean, really, to be honest, right? That's kind of the thought behind the thought. Yeah. Oh, I messed up this one. I messed up. Supposed to say potentiality. So the mindset is essentially, the chances of the egg that was fertilized that brought you into life is like 1 in a billion or something crazy, like by ancestry and distinction in the womb and the ovaries and whatnot. The fact that you're here is a miracle by ancestry and the womb and all things considered, because I know you're not, if you're anything like me, there could have been a couple times when you're not here. You might not have made it, right? So that by itself means that you're here for a reason, in my estimation. But that's a mindset that we want to cultivate. You're here for a reason. And if you're here for a reason, or if you're gonna be here, make a reason. Right? Like if I'm gonna be around, I might as well be here for the reason that I care about. Right? This is something that came up, even when I was sick, when I was trying to get well from cancer, because you have to make that decision. You have to decide. You do. Like, if I'm going to be here, I'm going to be here because of the reason that I came here, my purpose. I'm going to be here. I'm going to be on purpose. I'm not going to bow to these external things all the time. It still took me years. It's been years since I've healed from that condition. And it's taken me years to really embrace not buying into the authority, argument, not buying into the failure argument, And it's really not even that I've completely thwarted them. It's just that when they come up, again, I don't say that I can't go further than this. I don't feel like I'm dying, which is essentially what that feeling is, that anxiety and overwhelm. Because I feel like, yeah, I don't feel like I'm dying when this fear comes up anymore. It feels like, oh, well, that's weird that I had that thought. What's that about? Not important is usually where I come to. It's not a tiger. Okay, well, if it's not a tiger, then I'll focus on how can I just be in a better space, a better vibration, a better feeling for what I want to do next. And what would it take for me to feel good about what I desire to do? Right? So that's where that comes from. Fear that everything is pointless. Yeah, I don't like that one. I was one of those things that you're like, should I even put it on there? But it's part of the spinning path. So you got to talk about it. Hopefully, y'all appreciated me deep diving. That 50 is the next one. 50 is the fear of responsibility. Fear of success taking away freedom. So we were just talking about this, the fear of success. If I'm a billionaire, everybody's going to ask me for money all the time. Do I want that responsibility? Yes, I do. I do want that responsibility. Thank you for asking, universe. Yeah, because now I'm ready to set the boundaries that allow me to make the best choices in integrity. I trust myself to sit and be able to sit with that responsibility and say, okay, I make this decision based on that. I make this decision based on that. I'm okay that I've made a decision I've made because I trust that whatever I can't take care of, the universe has a path for that person. God has a way for that person to be who they are here to be. Otherwise, why would God put you here? Right? 50 is our final one, and then we're going to wrap it up and head out. 50, fear of responsibility, fear of success taking away freedom, balance, alignment with values, be unapologetic about strong boundaries. Wow, I think that's what I just said. That must mean I have done it already. Y'all, sometimes you just gotta laugh. My brain be forgetting things. I just told y'all that. My brain forgets things. Didn't I tell y'all? My brain forgets. So I don't know why you're surprised. Yeah, you want to get to confident, secure. Why? Because your body already knows that you're safe, right? Let me say this a different way, because our minds are telling our bodies to run, right? So the body's going to believe you for a second, right? But it also recognizes like it doesn't feel a presence of an actual animal. It doesn't, right? It doesn't feel the presence of an actual tiger. So it's questioning you too. It's like, are we running? Are we moving? We're moving. What are we fawning? Are we just going to lay here until it goes away? Like, what are we doing? Because you're not even sure in your movements. You're moving, but you're moving very slowly and precautiously, right? You're making decisions based on fear of the past, right? Well, last time this happened, so I guess I better put up a prenup, right? Like there's a lot of things that we do as an action based on a past fear, the fear of the past, that repeating. So yeah, essentially what we want to do is be able to move past the fear into where we can be in our co-creation mode. And so we want to embody that feeling enough that we have something to come back to when we're moving out of that fear cycle, when we've made that choice, right? So what I do is that vocal creatrix work, and I'm training our purpose and training our confidence. That's how I think of that, and training the confidence within our body so that we know the feeling physically in our body of security. Now, I've seen the mind play some crazy tricks, because I have people that can still fool themselves into thinking that they aren't secure when their body feels secure, which is a head trip, really. because they're like, how do you, you say this question, how do you feel? I feel good. I feel fine. I feel great. And then they're like, um, and they like super relaxed in the body, they just chilling. And they're like, their body feels great. And they're like, but I know that life is wrong. So it's just this, something that's happening in their life that is obviously wrong to them. Right. And that bringing that up while your body's feeling safe is basically choosing that what's real is not what your body's experiencing, what's available to you right now. You're choosing the thought of something that is going wrong. This is why people say you have to choose happiness, right? Because you can be completely fine and choose to be miserable, right? So if we're waiting, and a lot of us are, we have held ourselves hostage to the pain that's in the world. And until that pain is healed, that we can't be okay. So basically, you're telling me you want to feel better. You're telling me you want to feel more confident. You're telling me you want to live in joy. You're telling me you want to create your life. But you won't let anything be okay as long as something's wrong. This is life, folks. There's always going to be somebody having something going wrong, right? So we really have to decide, are we going to focus on what's wrong? Are we going to focus about what we are here to do to make a difference? Where we're going to turn that darkness into light to make the difference in the world, even in our own tiny, small way, even if it's one or two people, right? If no more than one or two people are who are shifted, will it be worth it? That's sometimes what we have to ask ourselves. And for me, it's a yes. If one person's in the audience, it's a yes. If that person doesn't show up till tomorrow, I'm still a yes. Okay, so sometimes we have to make that decision. We have to just decide to choose what we want, to choose what we want. What we want is valid. Our desires are valid. Something I have to tell people regularly. Our desires are valid. If the A-type leadership bro can have what they want, then we can have what we want. Why? Because our heart-centered, feeling people that want to love and give love and serve people, those are the people that should get what they want. They want people to be happy. But if we're always bowing down to the people that only want their result, money, car, whatever, which is fine too. Like that's why I can't judge it, right? Because if we're judging that, then we won't ever have it. It's the same thing we were just talking about. You're never going to show up. You're never going to be visible if you're constantly criticizing people. You're never going to have money if you're constantly criticizing people with money. Okay. But the reality is, it's not just that. I'm looking for a generic type of person that doesn't care about people's feelings and don't think people's feelings are part of the equation when it comes to dealing with people. Like, is that who we want to be running the world? Is that our leaders of tomorrow? I don't agree. If you said yes, if you said yes, I don't agree. I am looking at you as the leaders of tomorrow. I'm looking at the people who know what it means to care, who know what it means to understand people at a level that can help them feel supported and loved and worthy and honored and valuable in the world. People that know that it doesn't take somebody to be able to pay for 5 houses for that person to be a valuable person in their world, right? Our caretakers. They know that somebody's making them happy just by being here, right? There's hard times, that doesn't change that that person's meaningful in their world. And they can see that, and they can see why plainly. It's obvious to them that humanity is valuable. We want those people running the world. If we had those people as leaders, we would not be in our current circumstance. Am I right? I think I'm right. I don't know if y'all think I'm right, but I think I am right. Anyways, but yes, thank you for joining us for Vocal Creatrix. If you haven't joined us yet, it is available at the pin of the post at the top of the group, right? If you're not registered, come into the group. Yeah, no, I don't know. Like I don't know. Maybe I'll pin the thing so that you can check out. Maybe I'll think about it. I'll talk to you later, YouTube. But you guys, I will see you. Oh, Monday is when we're going to do the announcement of our winners, our winners. So if you've missed anything up until now, go ahead and stock up on those videos. They'll be available up until Monday as well. So we'll have a replay weekend. Okay, so y'all can dive in deeply, come back and watch a few things. Make sure you get all those numbers down, check your charts. Ask me if you have any questions. Like I'll come on live. Maybe we'll do, what I'll do is I'll send out a Zoom link. So if anybody wants to ask me a question in Zoom, and you'll be in the room to ask me a question on Monday, I'll invite you in to that reveal of the winner. And so like, let's do that on Monday. So let's do that. I'm gonna check my times. I'll post it in the group when we're gonna meet on Monday. Okay. And yeah, so come join us for Vocal Creatrix. It is a grand old time. If you want to ask me questions, I am available. Ask me questions in the group. You can email me. You can set up one of like a meet and greet appointment if you just want to be sure that I'm not a bot and that I'm not going to take your money and run. You know, like I have creds, I have people that will soothe your mind, that I do what I say I'm going to do, you know. So you can have that conversation with me directly to soothe that part of just making a good decision for yourself, right? Whatever questions you have for me, I am available for them, because if I don't have the answer, I need to find it, right? That's my responsibility as the business owner. And that's what I'm hoping to be able to help you guys with as well. That, you know, you can make a business that serves your integrity and your parameters. So don't ever feel like you have to stick to something that doesn't feel like it's serving your integrity and your parameters. Okay. But yeah, like we can have that conversation too. Like, what does that mean for you? And how does that make sense for you? If you're coming into the cohort, I am so excited. If you're thinking about doing Cosmic Prosperity as a personal one-on-one fun time, right? For that upgrade, I am looking forward to it. I really do love doing this work, and I love the ahas that come to people. And when people start recognizing those ebb and flow cycles that are part of all of our personalities, it's nothing to be ashamed of. But the more we learn about it, the faster we can move through that cycle and just let the current take us into the next synchronicity, into the next love happening, into the next joyful moment of presence, appreciating ourselves and our environment all at the same time. And until then, until we do that, we will meet each other on Monday, and I'll put that information up in the group this evening. I'll talk to you guys later. Ta-ta for now.